Today, we'll talk about a huge company that's still essentially a family-run business. Currently, the grandson of the founder is the president of the company. We're talking about Toyota, the 10th largest company in the world. So how does a family business in the textile industry in Japan become the largest car manufacturer in the world? How did Toyota get so big? Buckle up and let's take a ride through Toyota's history. The story starts with a simple farmer carpenter and a weaver in Japan. Their son, Sakichi, is fascinated with machines. He wants to make weaving easier. So he invents multiple weaving devices and looms, which are machines that make fabric. His most famous invention is the automatic power loom, a machine that stops itself when a problem occurs while weaving. Sakichi becomes known as the father of the Industrial Revolution in Japan and king of Japanese inventors. Let's pause for a moment here. Toyota has some secret symbols woven into their history. For example, if you look at Toyota's current logo, some people believe it reflects their beginnings in textile weaving. Take a look and see if you can see the thread going through the needle. Toyota's official stance is that the inner oval symbolizes the heart of the customer and heart of the company, and that the overlapping lines represent trust while forming the letter T for Toyota, and that the outer oval signifies the world embracing Toyota. But you judge for yourself. Now maybe you're wondering why the company's name is Toyota, while the family name is Toyoda. In 1930, Toyota had a logo design contest. They received 27,000 design entries. The winning entry had the word Toyoda inside a circle, but Toyo and Da means rice paddy. The family preferred the word Toyo with Ta because it's visually simpler and had 8 brush strokes, and 8 is a lucky number in Japan. Also, the company wouldn't be associated with old-fashioned farming. Also, in the current logo, you can see each individual letter that make up the word Toyota. Now back to our story. Sakichi's son is Ichiro. The year is 1929. He's 35 years old, and he's in Detroit, the heart of the young automobile industry. He's there touring all the leading automobile companies. The goal is to observe and learn because he wants to start making his own cars back in Japan. Problem is, he's already late in the game. Rewind 6 years prior to 1923. The Great Kanto earthquake happened. It destroyed much of the Tokyo railway system. So the city of Tokyo ordered 800 truck chassis from Ford, fit them with rough Kansas top bodies, and used them as municipal buses. Ford saw market potential in Japan. General Motors saw it too and entered the market. At that time, there were smaller Japanese car makers in Japan. But Ford and GM were inexpensive compared to the Japanese domestic cars. Ford models were selling a bit less than 4,000 yen, where it cost local manufacturers over 9,000 yen just to produce them. So the American brands were crushing Japan's emerging motor industry. From a Japanese standpoint, entering the car market seemed impossible. But this doesn't stop Ichiro. In 1933, he establishes a motor vehicle division within the loom factory. He decides to design his prototype on the Chrysler-built 1934 DeSoto, copying the engine from Chevrolet and the chassis and electronics from Ford. 2 years later, it's 1935. The Model A1 passenger car prototype is complete. It uses a 6-cylinder engine which produces 62 horsepower. It has a 3-speed column shift manual gearbox. Some of the parts have been cast and forged in his factory. The vehicle also incorporates many genuine Chevrolet parts. They then redesigned the A1 into the AA sedan a year later. This is the first passenger car Toyota releases. It sells for 3,350 yen, which is cheaper than Ford and GM car. Kqogm knows his success is from copying the work of others. It was necessary to do this to enter the market, but he believes in order to truly advance Japan's automotive industry, he must cultivate a drive for innovation. That's why he establishes a research laboratory in Shibaru, Tokyo in May 1936. Now let's pause our story for a moment. This is clue number 1 on how Toyota got big. Toyota may have started out imitating, but they didn't stop there. The son of an inventor and an inventor himself, Kqogm knew the value of innovation. We'll get more into Toyota's innovations in part 2 of the series. Now, let's get back to our story. Remember, Kqogm just produced his first passenger car. But most Japanese consumers aren't ready to buy passenger cars for households. So he decides to make the G1 truck because trucks are in high demand and are more profitable in the short run. But the G1 comes with a lot of mechanical problems. So Toyota supports early sales with free repairs and even replacement vehicles. That's clue on number 2, how Toyota got big. From the earliest days, Toyota had a good warranty system. If they broke, they fixed it. They earned the consumer's confidence. Kqogm himself helped fix customer cars. Kqogm applies the Jidoka principle from his father's loom business to car manufacturing. His father, Sakichi, has invented the Jidoka concept. Jidoka involves asking the 5 whys to find the root cause of a problem, then implementing a solution to prevent the future recurrences. Here's how Jidoka works to fix any problem with a car. Any mechanic can use it even today. For example, let's say a vehicle won't start. First you ask why. Let's say you find the battery's dead. Then you ask the second why. Let's say you find the alternator's not functioning. Ask the third why. You learn the alternator belt has broken. Ask the fourth why. You see the alternator belt was beyond its useful service life and had not been replaced. Ask the last why. You learn the vehicle was not maintained according to the recommended service schedule. Using this method, you know how to fix the car. And you also learn how to prevent it from happening again in the future. In this example, the root cause why the car won't start is because the user didn't do regular service maintenance needed. Anyway, Kqogm uses this method to streamline the car manufacturing process and impact mechanical quality. Now remember, he's selling the AA sedans and G1 trucks at the time. But then World War II happened. As with all wars, it brings extreme economic difficulties. Toyota pauses making passenger cars and instead makes trucks for the Japanese military. The Allies plan to bomb the Toyota factory, but fortunately for Toyota, the war ends before that happens. So, the war ends. 2 years later, it's 1947. Kqogm restarts his commercial car production. Toyota sells small-sized cars called Toyopet. But Toyota's on the edge of bankruptcy. Even though it secures loans from several banks, they're just barely getting by. Kqogm looks to expand business and conducts research on helicopters and a new type of gasoline for it. It's now 1950. Toyota produces only 300 trucks, and he's about to go out of business. So Toyota reduces wages and lays off many employees. This causes the union to go on strike for 2 months. They demand that Kqogm resigns as president and he steps down in June 1950. The same month, the Korean War starts. During the war, the U.S. military orders 5,000 vehicles from Toyota. That is what revives Toyota. A couple of years later, it's 1952. A decision is made to reinstate Kqogm as president. Preparations are made to reinstate him in July. But Kqogm dies unexpectedly in March. He's just 57 years old. But the story of Toyota doesn't end there. In part 2, we'll see the next era of the Toyota story. Hear about Toyota's first mass-produced passenger vehicle, how Americans didn't like the name, and further innovations that changed the car industry. If you're new to our channel, well, we're new to it too. We have more exciting car content coming very soon. So subscribe below and ring that bell to get notified of our next video.